How's it going? Excited to be here at Meet Magento New York. I wasn't able to make it last year, but I'm definitely impressed by what Magento has done this year, and very excited that I feel like this is going to be a great event going forward. So really happy about what's coming here. Today I'm talking about commerce partnerships, as Art just mentioned. Before I get into that, let me introduce myself a little bit. I am the director at Something Digital West Coast. I'm also a podcaster. I have a podcast called Future Commerce. You can find us at futurecommerce.fm or anywhere that you typically listen to podcasts. I also write for the Something Digital blog, SDX Insights. And I'm also the host of a relatively new effort called Something Digital Office Hours. We're on every other Thursday. We'll be doing one tomorrow. And if you go to our website, somethingdigital.com, you can find out more details about how to join up, or just watch us on Twitter. And I'll give you Twitter at the end. And I've been a part of the Magento community for about 6 years now, just over. So I've really seen a lot of the different iterations of Magento, and I'm very excited about where Magento is heading and what we're doing next. So good time to be a part of the community. So today, I want to talk about what's available to you and I should say this talk is geared towards the merchants. So you as merchants, what's out there, what's available? I want to talk about assessing your maturity, and I'll get into what that means, and also getting the most out of your agency if you have one. And I'll make a case as to why it might be good to have one as well. So let's talk about what this talk is titled, Stacked. So I'm going to define Stack as the collection of products and services that make up your commerce activities. It's a pretty fair definition, I would say. Let's do a few more definitions before we get into things. Also, products and services, stuff you buy from vendors. Or maybe you shouldn't just be going out and buying stuff from vendors. You should actually be thinking about how you can connect with companies and work together to achieve success. So I'm going to redefine what I just said was your stack in just a second, because I think that just going out and buying stuff to power your commerce systems is not the proper way to go about running an e-commerce business. Just finding stuff that you think looks cool or you feel like you have to have it. You need to find partners who have your back, and you work together with them to achieve your success. So let's redefine Stack. That's the partners that power your commerce success. And so before I kind of talk about how to properly partner and how to get the most out of those partnerships, let's talk about what's out there. What's available to you to power your e-commerce business. And there's a lot. There is a lot. So warning, this is not a comprehensive list. And I think that you'll be able to identify gaps that are in your business, but there's a lot to get through, and I think that's going to be kind of my point. And so get ready, get set. I'm going to go through this really fast. That's not available anymore. So let's start with your basics, right? You've got e-commerce platforms. You've got SaaS versus ownership. And I've listed out a few of the big players here. Obviously, the one that we really care about is Magento. And I've started to differentiate. We used to call Magento sort of an on-prem solution. That's just really not a good way to think about it. Magento is an asset that you do own, but now SaaS used to be thought of as synonymous with cloud, and that's just not true anymore. So you've got e-com platforms that you have to work through and figure out which one you want to use. You've got payment systems. You've got your gateway, your processor, your payment service provider. And typically this just breaks down into two easy ways. How do you accept credit cards? And also, do you have any additional payment products on top of that that you want to include as part of your business? You've got enterprise information that you've got to sort through. So you have an ERP, which big ones include SAP, NetSuite, Microsoft, and others. Digital content and asset management, which could include Acquia, Adobe, IBM, sometimes even just using your ecom platform. You've got to work through your transactional data, which is typically handled by your ecom platform, your product data, which could be PIM, ERP, ecom platform, and some good PIMs out there, InRiver, Salsify, and there are several others. There's customer data. Salesforce is the most common version of this, but there are some alternatives. You've got information architecture to work through. How is your information displayed on your site? And that's typically handled through a consultant or an agency. You've got to think about multi-channel tools. So marketplace selling, like on Amazon or Jet and Walmart or eBay. And there are tools out there to help you do that. Channel Advisor is the big one. There's also Sellbrite and some other ones in the Magento community, like M2E and Codisto. If you're ready for omnichannel, and I'll get into what I mean by ready, but you've got to figure out your order management software. Magento's got one. You can also partner with IBM or Manhattan. Those are some of the bigger ones out there. You've got logistics to think about. So rates and rules, carriers and freight, drop shipping, returns, and there are a ton of tools all around those. And some big ones in the Magento community are ShipperHQ, Tamando, Logic Broker, and Returnly. You've got social and visual tools, so products reviews and ratings, Bazaar Voice, Turn2, Yotpo, shoppable content, Lapic, Curate, using native Magento, ZMags. You've got loyalty programs, Smile.io, or maybe your ecom platform in that Magento has a loyalty program. You've got social network selling, and Magento's now has Magento Social, which is great. You have insight tools, web analytics, business intelligence, and this is amazing. I think we're going to hear from Bob Moore later. Magento Business Intelligence is a fantastic tool for doing this. But obviously, you've got Google Analytics and a host of other analytics tools out there. You've got A/B testing, multivariate testing with Visual Website Optimizer, Optimizely, Sentient, and others. Session replay, customer journey analytics, predictive analytics, fraud detection. And within those, there's a lot of different versions of that. So like fraud, you've got just sort of formulas and confidence levels, and you've got count and maybe your payment service provider for that. Or you have sort of like the insurance model where someone takes on all the risk for you. And Signified, who's here, is a good example of that. You've also got marketing tools to think through, ESPs, marketing automation tools, multi-channel campaign management. So MailChimp sort of maybe the starting point, then you have up through .mailer, Bronto, and Marsis, and many others. Retargeting, so Steelhouse and Criteo, and predictive analytics through IBM, and SEM and SEO and PPC and affiliate, and Google and your agency and Pepperjam. There's a million decisions to make there. Merchandising through your ecom platform. You have shopping tools like search, so Clayvu, Elasticsearch, Algolia, product visualization and personalization through tools like Liquid Pixels, Artify, Adobe, IBM, product comparison, configuring your price and quote. Magento B2B was just released. That's a fantastic tool. Conversational commerce through chatbots like Conversable or Link, or just live chat with Olark and Zendesk Chat. You've also got now Facebook Messenger and text and Slack and other tools for communicating with customers through chat, like voice even now. Alexa, Google, Siri. These are all options for communicating with your customers and building on this e-commerce stack that you have. Also, you have mobile commerce. You've got the mobile web, responsive, e-com platform, and agency typically handles this. You've got mobile apps and now progressive web apps, which are just an emerging trend that Magento is really pioneering. It's really cool to see. And you've got templated, custom, and then I mentioned PWAs, and lots of choices there, decisions to make at every turn. Clienteling, continue to build those long-term relationships, right? Lots of tools to do that as well. You've also got additional systems like subscriptions. Subscribe Pro's here. I think Order Group, I don't know if they're here. Recurly. You've got accounting decisions to make. You've got tax calculation decisions to make. Avalara, Vertex, TaxJar are big ones in the Magento ecosystem. Point of sale decisions to make. Lightspeed, Sage, Tulip, and many more. Post-purchase decisions to make, and Narvar and Link and others. This is a lot of stuff. There are a lot of decisions to make. There are a lot of people you can partner with. And there's the future, right? So Philip talked about this in his talk yesterday, but you've got augmented reality, you've got progressive web apps, you've got body data, you've got in-context purchasing, you've got more conversational commerce and new tools coming there, and voice commerce and so much more. It's kind of overwhelming. There's a lot to think through, and there's a lot of different levels of engagement. And so when you're going and you're looking through this, and you have to make decisions around this, how do you do that? How can you sort through this? So I would propose that there's a concept out there called commerce maturity, and so, at Something Digital, we take this very seriously. We've built out an entire model around this. And this is the complexity level of commerce solutions that your business should be employing, right? And so you need to figure out where you sit in your maturity, and what types of solutions are. So you have to assess your potential partners and figure out where they are on that maturity scale, right? How many resources does it take to actually employ? What types of customer needs does it solve? How much does it cost? How much support do they provide? Right? So figure out those things and sort of start to rate the vendors that are out there, right? You also have to do some self-assessment. And one of the things you can do to help that is, consider what do you consider low-hanging fruit right now that you're not doing? Because all of you merchants out there have things that you know that you should be doing and it would be easy for you to act on, but you just haven't yet. So think about that, and think about what those solutions are, and that might be a good indication of like where you are at in the maturity scale. You also need to think about resource allocation. How much time do you actually have? How much depth of knowledge do you have? What's your budget, right? If you don't have stock of those things, you're not going to be able to make good decisions and understand where you are. Also, you need to consider your existing solutions, because if your existing solutions represent a certain level of maturity, and if you bring in mismatched solutions and you have to do integrations with them, it might not be a good fit. So even though your team might have the expertise, if you have old systems that are hard to work with, that's a consideration also in your overall maturity. And then finally, and probably most importantly, what are your customers' expectations? And this might be the biggest question, because your customers are going to dictate what level of maturity you need to be at. And you might have to come along and say, actually, it doesn't matter how much budget I have, I might have to go get more budget. It doesn't matter how much time I have, I might have to get more people. It doesn't matter how much knowledge I have, I might need to go hire the right person because my customers demand that I play at this level. And so that's another key, like where should you sit? Back to the definition, the key word is should. Not what can you do, but what should you do. So I have a recommendation. We would all love to believe that we're very good at figuring out what we should be doing. But usually it's kind of hard to be objective and hard to understand if you're actually right. And so it's good to have validation. So I would highly recommend finding an expert, whether it's in-house or an agency or consultant, whatever it is, whoever it is, that can assist with this assessment. So it's hard to be objective. Typically, when you go out and get someone from the outside, you're going to have someone that either has a broader scope of knowledge or deeper, more specific set of knowledge, or unique experiences that you don't have. You really don't know what you don't know, so you do need to. I would highly recommend getting someone to help validate this. So, assessing agencies or whatever third party. Number one question: do you trust them? Because if you don't trust them, it doesn't matter what else you're going to do. Like, if you don't feel 100% confident that they are treating you with the respect that you deserve and have your back, then there's no sense even getting their evaluation, because you're going to disregard it. And so that's essential. Another question, how mature are the other merchants that are in their portfolio? What types of brands are they working with? What have they done before? So that's another helpful question. How mature are the software and service companies that they're recommending? And that's a good indication of their maturity as well. At what level is their thought leadership and content? If they're not being a leader, and if they're not putting out content that's reflective of being a leader, then they might not be a leader. Also, are they asking about maturity and a plan for growth, or do you have to push that to them? That's a really good indication. If you're the one having to constantly lead them, then they're probably not a very mature agency, and they don't have the types of insight that you need in order to assess your business. So let's talk a little bit about partnering with these agencies. What does that look like? Here's a few. This is where I think you can really leverage your partnership with your agency or a third-party consultant to benefit your business. Leverage the stacks that they already have. So, you can go out and build your own stack, but if you bring in a third party or an agency, they might have, or they should have, pre-existing relationships with vendors. And vendors that are in the room, listen up, because you should be going out and establishing relationships with agencies and third-party consultants such that you've got a pre-existing relationship, and when they bring in a customer, it's not like you're setting up a new relationship. You're working with that agency. So they're going to have existing relationships, which means they're going to be more familiar with those solutions, which means they're going to be more efficient. They're also going to get better support because they've got those relationships already. Typically, with these types of relationships, it's just a quick phone call away. So don't understand that if you go out and bring in an outside solution that an agency has never worked with before, they have to build that relationship just as much as you do. And if you leverage what they already have, you're going to save a lot of time and money. And then finally, they might have discounts or discounted rates for those products. And if you leverage their entire stack, you might be able to save a lot of money across the board. Or they might have some sort of referral agreement that they'd be happy to pass along savings to you if they just basically waive that. And so you're going to save money, you're going to get better support, you're going to be more efficient. And so that's sort of the final thing. When you're working with these third-party consultants and agencies, use what they've already built for you. And if they don't have that, then that's a good indication. Maybe it's not the right fit. So, and finally, they should be, not only should they be help assessing you assess this, but they should be telling you what level of effort is required from you and help you be realistic about your commitments. And again, this gets back to trust. Like, if you don't trust them, then this is not going to help. So just to recap, there are a lot of tools available. Don't just pick products and services, pick partners. Know your level of maturity and pick partners that match your level and leverage your partner's pre-existing relationships. That's it for me. You can find me, go to somethingdigital.com to learn more about office hours. You can email me at blang@somethingdigital.com. Future Commerce is futurecommerce.fm, and you can find me at Twitter and all three of those places at Something Digital, at Commerce Future, and at Brian J. Lange. And also, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan. That's it. Does anyone have any questions? All right. I'm done.